I want to ask you a question about Wembanyama, the young
Victor,
player
yes.
from France.
Yeah, Victor.
What do you think about him?
Get ready, my friends. If you're not ready, this kid's gonna be...
He's a problem, huh?
Problem.
You saw him like he's a...
When I say, problem, a big problem. I've never seen this before. I'm the Rudy Gobert.
Wow.
He's taller than Rudy Gobert, but he can block shot like Rudy, but shoot like KD.
Yeah, he's like the 2K creative player. Like every point guard that wants to be 7 foot. Cheat code.
Before Victor Wembanyama took his giant steps into the NBA, this behemoth of a kid had already generated a ton of buzz surrounding his arrival, while basically putting the entire league on notice without even playing a second. Most people say that he's the best prospect that has entered the NBA since LeBron James. But see, even LeBron was so shocked about his talent that he even began calling him as,
everybody, we're labeling like this unicorn thing. Everybody's been a unicorn over the last few years, but he's more like an alien.
And speaking of alien, check this out. Since he's already that good, Nike has just released a clip recently, teasing a new shoe line based on him while playing in just his year 1. I mean, we're talking about a guy who just played 71 games in his rookie season. But despite this, Wemby has definitely lived up to the hype and is now taking the league by storm. The world and the NBA has not seen anything like this before. A 7'4" basketball anomaly who was essentially created straight out of a sinister underground hoop lab, who can block shots, shoot the rock, cook people with nasty handles, while being just barely old enough to grab his first drink and apply for a driver's license. His first taste of American basketball was when he squared off in the finals of the FIBA Under-19 tournament against another alien in the making, Chet Holmgren. Though he came up short, Wemby was already showing his extraterrestrial tendencies. 22 points, 8 boards, and 8 blocks in a losing effort. The sting of defeat stuck with Wemby, which is why he vowed revenge the next time he crossed paths with Chet. And well, what do you know? The basketball gods heed his prayer, because in the preseason, the NBA gave us a Kong vs. Godzilla matchup vibe, with Wemby serving the equalizer, flexing his guns all over his grill right after he demolished him like an old tall building. Then a couple of nights after, the Wemby sighting just kept coming, and this time around, he gave Thomas Bryant a front row ticket to witness his inhuman length and physical prowess on full display.
Rocketing down the lane, handing to Wembanyama! With the left hand.
Also nutmegging people that were a foot shorter than him just for his own amusement on the side. Right after toying with the competition in the preseason, Wemby got down to business in his NBA debut, which was watched by almost 3 million people. And despite the magnitude of the moment, the kid from France didn't shy away from the bright lights and delivered as advertised.
The league, he can have a quiet night. Cut it!
In the next game against the Rockets, Wemby finally unleashed his defensive wares, denying Jabari Smith Jr. late in the fourth an entry to the rim multiple times, as if he's an illegal immigrant trying to apply for a visa.
You could buy him again. Meet me at 11. Victor was at 12. He was at 12 feet. What
But
was the right hand?
even though things seem to have picked up for the Spurs after notching back-to-back road wins against KD and the Suns, an experiment gone wrong almost ruined Wemby's promising start. I mean, Pop tried to go big just like other teams in the league, putting Jeremy Sohan at the point guard slot, mimicking what Draymond Green has been doing for the Warriors. But the thing is, although he has a high basketball IQ and a knack for passing, Sohan had no experience in playing the position before, and this hurt Wemby more than anything because there were a lot of instances where you would just throw your hands up in the air, found yourself screaming in front of the TV set saying, "Hey Sohan, are you freaking blind?" Like in this possession, Wemby shook off his defender and made a great cut inside. So, okay, he missed that one. That's fine. Then Sohan actually did a nice play here, drawing a couple of bodies on him. And you can see Wemby is wide open once again, this time on the perimeter. But instead of kicking the ball out, Sohan took a tough turnaround airball jumper. Then, in the ensuing possession, the same thing happened, only this time it was Keldon Johnson. Like seriously, how can you miss a 7'4" Eiffel Tower ceiling underneath? Now, aside from the fact that Sochan was terrible at his new job, and his teammates blatantly shunning him just like how the Amish people avoided technology for the longest time, playing as a small forward was also another factor that prevented him from being truly unleashed. I mean, sure, the dude can hit jumpers and long bombs, either on a dime, on the move like KD. However, he's nowhere as efficient as Easy Money Sniper in terms of shooting the rock. And despite his ginormous frame, he's not using it to his advantage, as he would prefer taking tough fadeaways and soft, feathery shots around the rim like a guard, instead of imposing his slender man figure and just cook everyone in the paint like a tasty barbecue chicken. The total dynamic dysfunction happening between Wemby and his pals has reflected badly on the win-loss column. I mean, after dropping their game against Toronto on November the 5th, the Spurs didn't win another game for more than a month, losing 18 games in a row during that god-awful stretch. Around this point in time, people have been calling out the ever hard-headed Pop for his failed Sochan experiment, and luckily though, he didn't get the arena mic and tell everyone to shut up, but instead, he listened to them, and just like that, the Sochan point guard project has been decommissioned right away. Now, the massive change didn't stop there. Realizing that he's not utilizing Wemby's full potential, Pop slides Wemby into the center position to maximize his physical gifts, and with the newly promoted Trey Jones quarterbacking for the team, the alien has been finally completely unleashed on both ends of the floor. And from then on, it was just either you step up or get stepped on as far as Wemby's opponents were concerned, because Vic was simply unhinged night after night. I mean, playing as a natural center for the very first time this season, Wemby had 21 points and grabbed 20 rebounds, along with 4 block shots against Chicago, making him the youngest player in NBA history to post a 2020 game at 19 years and 38 days old. And then, amidst his Rampage tour, he formally introduced himself to the OGs of the league, like when he put a stamp on the Greek Freak with this insane rejection. And then there was the time that he made a fool out of the Joker when he flat out rejected the 2-time MVP. Not just one, but 3 times in a single game.
Back to Jokic.
I would like to see a little bit more of that.
Oh, Victor said not this time.
I'll tell you what, 2 fierce competitors, but able to enjoy.
In that matchup, Wemby was swatting every shot that flew in his airspace. And by the time the game was over, he had 9 blocks to headline another impressive stat line. And to add on to this, he also tallied 23 points and 15 rebounds to complete an all-around performance. Now, this was not the last time that we saw Wemby stuffing the stat sheet to the brim. I mean, there was the unique triple-double game against the Raptors, where he scored 27 points, corralled 14 rebounds, while registering a career high of 10 blocks. Then there's the game where he spoiled Jalen Brunson's 61 points by offsetting it with 40 points, 20 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. And lastly, against the Sacramento Kings, Wemby put up an insane stat line of 19 points, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks, 5 steals, and 4 assists, inserting himself into the ultra-exclusive 5x5 club, making him the 22nd player in NBA history to ever achieve that rare feat. And since we just brought up history into this conversation, did you know that Victor Wembanyama already has more career blocks than 86.6% of all players that have ever played throughout the 77-year history of the NBA in just year 1? I mean, if not, then let this one sink in through your heads for a while. With all the crazy stuff and stats that he put up in the final stretch of the season, it's quite easy to say now that Wemby will bag the Rookie of the Year for sure over Chet Holmgren. And even though the overall team record of the Spurs has been pulling him down in terms of his chances in winning the Defensive Player of the Year race, I think that there's still a teeny tiny glimmer of hope for Wemby because of the historic season that he put up on the defensive end. So on that note, let's just cross our fingers and hope against hope that Wemby will become the first ever Rookie of the Year to simultaneously win the Defensive Player of the Year award. Because at the end of the day, he's the most deserving player to achieve this after all, with the way he broke the NBA this season.